We're diving into OSPF network types for the CCNA exam, specifically focusing on the critical differences between broadcast and point-to-point. How OSPF behaves on various Layer 2 media is a core concept for troubleshooting neighbor adjacencies, which is a heavily tested topic. When you connect multiple OSPF routers to an Ethernet switch, OSPF defaults to the broadcast network type. Imagine 4 routers on the same LAN segment. If every router formed a full neighbor relationship with every other router, it would create a mesh of 6 adjacencies and a storm of redundant link state advertisements. To prevent this inefficiency, OSPF elects a designated router, or DR, and a backup designated router, the BDR. All other routers, known as drothers, form a full adjacency only with the DR and BDR. They send updates to the multicast address 224.0.0.6, which is reserved for the DR and BDR. The DR is then responsible for distributing those updates to all other routers on the segment using the multicast address 224.0.0.5. The CCNA exam will absolutely test you on the election process. The router with the highest OSPF interface priority, a value from 1 to 255, wins. If there's a tie, the router with the highest router ID is elected DR. An interface with a priority of 0 can never participate in the election. Now, let's contrast this with the point-to-point network type, which is the default for serial links using encapsulations like PPP or HDLC. On a true point-to-point link, there are only ever 2 routers, so the complexity of a DR-BDR election is completely unnecessary. The 2 routers discover each other and form a direct, full adjacency. This is a classic exam trap. You might be shown a topology with 2 routers connected by a serial link and asked about the BDR's IP address. The correct answer is that no DR or BDR is elected on a point-to-point network. The most common CCNA questions on this topic are troubleshooting scenarios. You'll be given the output from a show IP OSPF interface command and asked why an adjacency failed to form. You must check for mismatches in several key parameters. The hello and dead timers must match for both broadcast and point-to-point networks. The default is a 10-second hello and a 40-second dead interval. Also, the routers must be in the same subnet, and their OSPF area IDs must match. Critically, the network types must be compatible. An interface configured as broadcast will not form an adjacency with one configured as point-to-point. A slightly more advanced type, non-broadcast multi-access or NBMA, also uses a DR-BDR, but requires manual neighbor configuration and has different default timers, adding another potential point of failure if misconfigured. To help remember the core difference, use this phrase, big election, private conversation. Broadcast networks, like Ethernet, are big and need an election for a DR. Point-to-point links are a private conversation between 2 routers, so no election is needed. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.